This is the Voice of the Land podcast.
Another league that's trying to get things going is Major League Baseball. And a big hang-up right now is the agreed-upon pay cut that players did agree upon, Players Association did agree upon, and it sounds like maybe MLB and the owners trying to take more money from them. And Blake Snell was on, whether it was a Twitch feed or some sort of live thing that he was doing,
It was
saying,
Twitch. Yeah.
saying, I got to get mine. I'm not going to play and put my life on the line and take this less money where I'm already getting 50% and they're going to take like 25% of that, like trying to do this random math with it, saying, I got to get mine. I have a very strong stance on this, and Paulus, I don't know what your reactions to this were, but I'm just gonna get this out. I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna
Go ahead, brother.
touch on it past the
show is
point.
all yours. Go ahead.
Not gonna touch on it past this point. First of all, I'm not a fan of Rob Manfred at all as the commissioner of baseball. So I have a feeling that there is an issue with what the players agreed upon and what they're being asked to do now. And Trevor Bauer came out and kind of indicated that, and saying that, trying to make sure that the players are not hurt by this and owners getting their money. That's all well and good if you're kind of in the Players Association defending all that. I have a big issue with the way Blake Snell and Bryce Harper deciding to agree with him as well. I have a huge, huge problem with how Blake Snell decided to present this. It's one thing to think and be in, I'm sure he's in agreement with a lot of his fellow players that they want to get their money that they were agreed to by the MLB. But if you're just going to come out during a pandemic where there are millions upon millions of people who can't work right now and can't even get their unemployment lines in various states don't even work. You try to sign up online, the site is down all the time. These governments are not, they say that they're going to help with unemployment and they are not. And there are a bunch of people that can't get any money to even supply their family. They can't even get 5% of what his 30% of his original paycheck would be. They can't even get that amount of money right now. And you're going to come out during this scenario and say, I got to get mine. Why don't you read the times and read the situation? This isn't about what he thinks. This is about how he decided to go about it. He's not defending his fellow players in anything that he says. He's only about himself. He's only trying to get that money and saying that he's going to get taxed. Well, I'm pretty sure he still plays in Tampa Bay, and in Florida, there is no state tax. That's why LeBron went there and they took those pay cuts in the big three, because they knew that they were still going to get a lot of money, most of the money that they were guaranteed down there. So you're not getting taxed as much as most people would. So you can shut up about that, Blake Snell. And you're saying, well, I don't want to, I'm going to put my life on the line by going out there and could possibly get the coronavirus. Well, yeah, that's true, but your life is going to be less on the line than all of the frontline workers that have been putting in the time and countless exhaustive hours to help people and are traveling around the country. There are people from Cleveland that have gone to New York or other parts of the country. There's other nurses and doctors that have gone around to some of the more harder hit areas to try to help, because they're willing to put their life on the line, have their protective equipment, but knowing that that's not going to just protect them and go home to their families still trying to save other people. And you're going to talk about, well, I don't want to go make 10 of my $30 million and go pitch in the major leagues and have this cushy job and put my life on the line. No, shut the hell up, Blake Snell, and either talk about it from a Players Association perspective, or just shut up, get off of Twitch, and just take the money that you're going to get, because you're going to be able to supply your family forever and get them the medical help that they need and the testing that they need. Because guess what? You're probably going to get tested every single day when people can't even get tests right now for the coronavirus. So shut up, Blake Snell, shut up, Bryce Harper, and go back and just think about your money in some corner of your dark house right now.
Did you get everything off your chest?
Yes.
Okay, good. I don't view it as bad as you. I look at it from the standpoint that he can talk about his own money. And like he was asked this question on Twitch. He didn't just come out on Twitch and say, you know what, guys, let me tell you about what I think. He was asked the question on
That
Twitch.
doesn't matter though.
I
You're still presenting it as I want to get my money, not players. We need to get the money we were, or the level of money we were guaranteed, and MLB is withholding that. That's one thing to have that conversation that way. But that you're going to answer the question and think, oh yeah, I'm all bad and tough as Blake Snell, who had a good year and can be a good pitcher, but playing in Tampa Bay, guess what? I mean, I know that we have issues with attendance here in Cleveland. Tampa Bay really has issues down there. So they'd be used to not having any fans in the stands down there in Tampa Bay too. So you can just, Blake Snell should not be talking, should not be answering the question of, it's just about me. It's all about me. You're a professional athlete. No matter what question you're asking, what format you are, you should still be thinking about what's going on and having a better sense than that. So that's where I take issue with Blake Snell.
and I understand where you're coming from. I mean, there are, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that are devastated right now because they're
Yes.
out of jobs and the unemployment.
And I talk to them daily. I talk to them daily.
Right. And so you're closer to them than he is to anything else. I mean, the guy is a world-class pitcher. I mean, he signed I believe it was a 5-year, $50 million contract 1 or 2 seasons ago. He was supposed to be making, I believe it was like $7 million this year, something along the lines of that. I think a lot of his money was up front. And that's why it's not too bad whenever it comes to that. The taxing issue that you're talking about, yes, he does live in Florida. So he doesn't get taxed whenever he pitches there. However, if he pitches anywhere else, just like if you were to, move out to, Wisconsin, you're going to be owing Wisconsin taxes if you're playing out there. So I mean, it's one of those things where I get where you're coming from, the tax issue, blah blah blah. But there is, I mean, he can talk about his own money. I mean, it's his own money. Do I want to hear his woe is me? I'm $1 million pitcher and I'm not getting everything that I think I deserve. No, I don't like the sound of it. I think it sounds, a little snooty, is probably the best way to put it. But I think that, he's talking about something that's affecting himself. Just like, I mean, I'm not going to begrudge him because of that. I think it does.
I am.
And you're more than welcome to.
Because no, it's not even about the fact that we know these athletes are getting more money than we're ever going to see, even when everybody's able to work. We know that, and yeah, it's not fun to listen to them talk about when they whine and cry about their money in those situations. This is totally different, a totally different scenario when you're going to come out and be selfish and all about yourself. And again, not even talking about the entire issue with how the Major League Baseball is trying to, give money more towards the owners. That's a big problem as well. You're going to talk about yourself in a big pandemic that nobody's ever seen before, and there is a lot more suffering than there typically is in this country when it's a problem for you talking about your own money and making millions of dollars. And woe is me, I'm down to 10 million instead of 30 million. Guess what? I could live the rest of my life on probably $1 million, let alone 10. So this is not the time to be having that conversation. So if you support him and the Jared Carabas from Barstool Sports, of course, Barstool Sports is going to support something like that. This is terrible. He should be demeaned for this. This is terrible comments that should not be out there. It's not funny, and it's not funny at all. I should not be thinking that he's just the only person that's affected by this.
I understand, but he's not going out saying like, I want to, kill someone or he's not doing anything to affect your life though, Kevin. He is coming out and he's saying some crazy stuff. I'll give you that. The woe is me. I'm not getting, a third of my $50 million contract. I understand is a little, it's stupid. It's something that he probably shouldn't say out loud, but he can say to himself. But you're going out there like he killed somebody, and that's not the case. I mean, I understand a lot.
I don't think that my reaction is anything like that. I think that it's right to be able to tell
on,
someone that they're wrong.
Kevin, a lot of people are hurting right now. I understand that. I
Yeah.
think he understands that to a point.
No,
as
he does
well.
not. He clearly does not.
I think if you asked him, or do you believe a lot of people are hurting right now, he'd say absolutely. A lot of things are wrong with the economy, and a lot of things are going bad, and a lot of people need help. But he is looking at himself because I mean, from what we can all assume, he's all about himself. And that's something that probably got him to where he is right now. He probably focuses just about himself, and that's probably why he's so damn good at pitching, is because he's focused in on only himself and doing the things that gets him to where he wants to go. So I think this is something that it's is it a bad look? Absolutely. It's a bad look. He probably shouldn't have said it out loud, but it's the way he feels. And it's not like he's going out and taking money from, his next door neighbor. It's not like he's going around and robbing, people, from their, money or anything like that. He thinks he's viewing himself as he signed a contract. He deserves all of his money, and that's the way that he views it. I mean, if you signed a contract for, you work at Progressive, if you signed a contract for $100,000 this year and they said, hey, you know what? Sorry about this, the pandemic, blah, 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 everything's going on with this. We're only going to be able to give you your $50,000. That other 50, sorry, you're not going to get it. Are you going to be upset? I think you would be.
I'm gonna be upset, but I'm not going to go out of my way
that's
to just have
saying,
that be out there.
He's
No,
saying, I
he is
deserve
not.
all of my money.
It's a different level. It's a whole different level.
Contract, and I deserve my money. That's what he's trying to say. And I think if anyone else was in his shoes, they'd probably be saying the same thing. It's a bad look to say it out loud, but privately in your own home.
Fine, privately you can say that.
I understand, but it's an emotional reaction. Someone asked him randomly on Twitch, and it was the first thing that he said. It's not the right thing to do, but he said it. And if anyone else was guaranteed a contract of that sort of proportion and told you, hey, by the way, we're not going to give you, $3.5 million. Here's your other $3.5 million. Yeah, that's great to us. But maybe, you're guaranteed a certain amount of money. You deserve that certain amount of money. Is what he believes in. If anyone else was in his situation, I think that they would say the same exact thing, but just not in that setting.
No, I think it's terrible that he even decided to answer that question in this case.
Terrible. It's not,
it is terrible. It is. That's not what I'm saying in terms of being terrible. I don't know why you're putting that kind of connotation to this. It's the fact that it's just like with the LeBron situation when he left here. It's not what he did, it's how he did it. You're going to decide to answer that question out loud, thinking that, hey, I'm a professional athlete. I am well known. This is going to get out there. So you wanted it to get out there. He wanted to say that so it got out there so that he could be the center of attention. And that is a terrible look as a professional athlete, and not somebody I would ever want on my team. As talented as he is, that's not the kind of player or the characteristic of a player that I would want on my team, ever.
I think you would once again, this is the James Harrison aspect. If James Harrison was on your team, that's the type of dude. Now, I'm not saying Blake Snell's the type of dude that you want on your team, but if Blake Snell got traded to the Indians for whatever reason, he went out and pitched a no-hitter, you're not going to turn on that game in the 8th, 9th inning and say, like, come on, man, come on, Snell. Like, if he's on your team, you're going to root for him. If he's not on your team, you're going to bash him. That's
not for that kind of characteristic. No,
as people, as fans, that's how it works.
I would not have celebrated J.R. Smith as much if he would have been J.R. Smith of the New York Knicks on this team, because I did not like the characteristics of him. He was able to change. If you're able to change, and I'm always willing to give people second chances. That's how we are as humans. But to do that at this time is terrible, and does not, just shows a complete lack of understanding or care of what's really going on in the world. And anybody just thinks wants to just present themselves that way and get notoriety for saying I want to get mine, you can think it all you want. In the quiet secluded corner of your house in quarantine. That's fine. But if you have the notoriety that Blake Snell does and you're still going to come out to do that, that is a terrible look, and people should not be celebrating him for coming out and saying it that way and doing it the way that he did it.
Oh, agree to disagree is probably the best way to put it.
Right. I think the problem here is people think that, it's more of an opinion. This is reality. Reality check is, you want your money, athletes? You know what? Have your little Zoom conversations between each other, and or talk to yourself in the mirror. Don't go out there and saying that, because too many people are affected right now, and we thank these people all the time and on this podcast, and to have someone be so just immune to even realizing that, or just so dumb to the situation, is a terrible, terrible look. And I'm going to call him out. You said we don't call people out on this podcast. I'm calling out Blake Snell on this podcast this week. Just how it's going to be.